Avocado seed, hidden treasure or dangerous myth? What science really says every day? Millions of people cut open an avocado, enjoy the creamy green flesh, and toss the seed straight into the trash. No second thought, no hesitation, as if it were the most useless part of the fruit. But here's the question that changes everything. What if the part almost everyone throws away is actually the most mysterious part of all? For years, the internet turned avocado seed into something almost mythical. Some called it a hidden medicine. Others said it was packed with antioxidants. And some went even further, claiming it could help the heart, blood sugar, inflammation, even cancer. It sounds impressive, maybe too impressive. And that is exactly why we need to slow down for a second. Because whenever a food starts sounding miraculous, the smartest thing to do is not believe it right away, but investigate it. So today, we're answering a very uncomfortable question. Is the avocado seed a forgotten treasure, or is it just another health trend built on excitement more than evidence? And the strange part is, the answer is not completely black or white. It's much more interesting than that. The story begins long before social media clips, health blogs, or trendy kitchen hacks. Long before someone tried grating avocado seed into a smoothie, it already had a place in traditional medicine. Historical records from Mesoamerica mention the use of avocado seed in different remedies, especially for topical applications. So this idea didn't come out of nowhere. It's not some random modern invention. There is cultural history behind it. But here's where people make a very common mistake. Just because something has been used for centuries does not automatically mean it is safe, effective, or suitable in the way people use it today. Tradition can point us toward valuable possibilities. But science has a different job. Science has to separate what sounds promising from what is actually proven. And in the case of avocado seed, that difference changes everything. So why did this seed attract so much attention in the first place? Because when researchers began analyzing it, they found something genuinely interesting. The seed contains bioactive compounds, including polyphenol, flavonoids, fiber, and other substances with antioxidant activity. On paper, that sounds exciting. And this is exactly where the easy headline is born. If it contains antioxidants, then it must be amazing for your health. But that is where things get slippery. Finding interesting compounds in a laboratory sample is one thing. Proving that those compounds survive preparation, are absorbed by the human body, act in meaningful ways, and lead to real health benefits in actual people, that is something completely different. Between a promising chemical profile and a proven health effect, there is a massive gap. And nutrition history is full of ingredients that looked incredible in theory, then turned out to be far less impressive in real life. That's where this story becomes more complicated. A lot of the studies that helped build the avocado seed's reputation were not done with people casually eating the seed at home. Many were done with extracts, isolated compounds, lab models, or animal studies. That does not make the research useless. Not at all. That is often how serious science begins. But it does mean the results need to be interpreted very carefully. Because when a study shows antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, or anti-cancer activity in cells or animals, that does not mean drinking avocado seed tea will produce the same effect in a human body. That leap is made online in about 3 seconds. In real science, it can take years to confirm, or it may never be confirmed at all. And that is the detail almost nobody mentions when they talk about avocado seed, like it's a miracle ingredient. Let's take one of the most common claims, heart health. You will often hear that avocado seed may help improve cholesterol, support circulation, or protect the cardiovascular system. The idea comes from preliminary research showing certain compounds, antioxidant potential, and promising experimental effects. But the key word here is preliminary. Right now, strong clinical evidence in humans is still lacking. There is not enough solid proof to say, with confidence, that people should eat avocado seed to lower cholesterol or prevent heart disease. That would be jumping to the ending before the evidence gets there. And it's not because scientists are being overly cautious. It's because even the research itself keeps saying the same thing. More studies are needed, especially toxicology studies, standardized dosage research, and well-designed human clinical trials. In plain English, that means the hypothesis is interesting, but it is nowhere near ready to become a public health recommendation. And then we get to the claim that grabs the most attention of all, cancer. This is where the conversation often becomes dramatic. Certain avocado-derived compounds, including Avocatin B, have shown interesting activity in cancer-related research, especially in preclinical studies involving leukemia models. That part is real. It is a legitimate area of scientific research. But there is a huge difference between saying a compound shows promise in a lab and saying people should consume avocado seed to fight cancer. Those are not the same statement. Not even close. It would be like discovering a promising component in a rocket engine and then concluding that you can already take a taxi to the moon. Between those 2 points, there is dosage, safety testing, clinical trials, formulation, regulation, and years of unanswered questions. So when someone says, avocado seed fights cancer, that is not a medically supported recommendation for people. What exists is early research that may matter in the future, but should not be turned into a homemade cure today. And now we reach the part that matters most, even though it gets much less attention than the health claims: safety. Because the real issue is not only what avocado seed might do, it's also what it might cost. Different expert sources agree on one thing: the supposed benefits of avocado seed consumption in humans are still poorly understood. There is not enough evidence to recommend regular intake. On top of that, some toxicological studies and analyses raise legitimate reasons for caution. The seed contains compounds such as tannins and other antinutrients that, in excess, may interfere with nutrient absorption. So we are not talking about an innocent ingredient that just hasn't gone mainstream yet. We are talking about a complex plant material that may have interesting scientific potential, but has not been sufficiently proven safe or beneficial for everyday human consumption. That is a major difference, and it leads to a bigger truth people often ignore. Something can be scientifically interesting without being a good idea as a home remedy. In fact, this happens all the time. Many pharmaceutical compounds originally came from plants, but they eventually became standardized medicines precisely because the raw or homemade version was unreliable, unsafe, or inconsistent. Avocado seed may end up following a similar path. Researchers are exploring its extracts, its antioxidant components, its possible use in cosmetics, food technology, functional materials, and even sustainable industrial applications. That is exciting, but industrial or scientific value does not automatically translate into a recommendation to start eating it. That distinction matters. An ingredient can be valuable for research and still not belong in your kitchen routine. So did the internet exaggerate? Honestly, yes. At least partly. Not because everything about avocado seed is fake, but because people mixed 3 different levels of truth into one simple story. First, there is traditional use. Second, there are early laboratory and animal findings. Third, there are recommendations for real people. The problem is that many creators jump from the first 2 levels straight to the third without crossing the bridge of clinical evidence. That jump is what creates viral content. It sounds exciting. It feels empowering. It makes people feel like they've discovered a secret that others overlooked. But it also creates confusion. A statement like, avocado seed contains antioxidant compounds may be fair, but therefore you should drink avocado seed tea every day to protect your heart and prevent disease, is a completely different claim. And right now, that claim is not well supported. Natural does not automatically mean safe. Nature is powerful, yes, but nature is not a wellness influencer. It does not come with perfect instructions. Now here's what makes this even more fascinating. The avocado seed may still have a very important future, just probably not in the way social media imagines. Its real value may lie in science, sustainability, and innovation. Researchers have been exploring avocado seed as a source of useful compounds for cosmetics, antioxidants, food preservation, and industrial applications. In a world trying to reduce waste and use resources more intelligently, that matters a lot. Because avocado processing creates a large amount of discarded material, and seeds are a big part of that. So maybe the real treasure was never a miracle tea or a secret home cure. Maybe the real treasure is the scientific and industrial potential of something we've been treating like garbage. And honestly, that is a much smarter story. But what about the people who say, I've used it and I feel great? We should listen respectfully, but we should not confuse personal experience with scientific proof. A person can be sincere and still not prove cause and effect. Maybe they changed other parts of their diet. Maybe the improvement had nothing to do with the seed. Maybe it was a placebo effect. Maybe they simply had no negative reaction. Human biology is far too complex to reduce to a single personal testimony. That's why science asks for large samples, controlled studies, repeatable methods, and follow-up data. The body does not respond to good storytelling. It responds to mechanisms, context, and dose. And when that information is missing, the honest answer is not to invent certainty. The honest answer is, we still do not know enough. That sentence may not go viral, but it protects people from making very confident mistakes. So let's answer the question clearly. Is avocado seed poison? Not in the simplistic way that word is often thrown around for humans. But it is also not proven to be safe for regular human consumption. Does it contain interesting compounds? Yes, absolutely. Is there promising research around it? Yes. Does that mean you should start eating it? Not necessarily. Is there enough evidence to recommend it as a treatment or superfood? No. The most responsible conclusion is this. Avocado seed currently belongs more to the world of research than to the world of everyday nutrition advice. It is a scientific possibility, not a nutritional certainty. A candidate, not a champion. An open question, not a final answer. And sometimes, maturity in health means being able to live with that uncertainty. In fact, if you are looking for proven benefits from avocado, the strongest evidence is still with the flesh, not the seed. That is where we have much better support for healthy fats, fiber, satiety, and its place in a balanced diet. In other words, avocado was already a nutritional success story without turning its seed into a legend. And maybe that reveals something about us. Sometimes we ignore what is already solid because we are chasing what feels hidden, exotic, and secret. We want the overlooked part, the mysterious cure, the answer no one else knows. But health rarely improves because of one magical discovery. More often, it improves because people do the basics consistently. Better sleep, better food choices, more movement, less stress, more checkups, fewer ultra-processed foods. None of that sounds as dramatic as a hidden seed with ancient power. But it is usually far more effective than fantasy with cinematic background music. So the next time you open an avocado, maybe you'll look at that seed differently. Not as a miracle that will save you, not as worthless trash either, but as something much more honest, a fascinating piece of nature, still under investigation, sitting somewhere between traditional wisdom, scientific curiosity, and internet hype. And that middle ground, even if it is less dramatic, is usually where the truth lives. If this video helped you see the topic more clearly, hit like and share it with someone who believes that everything natural is automatically safe. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Would you ever try consuming avocado seed? Or would you rather wait until science settles the case?